What does one generation owe to the next generation? What do you think we should pass forward to future generations? Not an easy question to answer. The purpose of this short session is to walk through some of the choices that have been offered for that and to help you interpret your sustainability values diagnostic that hopefully you've taken and you have with you. We're going to work through this first set of questions about what to sustain. There are typically three types of answers. There are many more, but at least you should be able to listen for these three reasons when you're talking to people. One is the distinction between natural and social capital. I'll define that in a minute. And then if you do think natural capital, whether you're thinking about species or services. And then the classic answer is opportunity. So let's start there. I mean, this is the easy answer. It's embedded in the very popular, familiar Brundtland definition of being able to meet the needs of the people today, as well as not compromising future generations, their opportunities to meet their needs. And so it's easy to agree with that, but it's hard to operationalize. Often where the rubber meets the road is in the specifics of what we're passing forward. And so here is the table. You have something similar. The numbers in the table reflect the percentages of people, the thousands of people who have taken this diagnostic, where they fall, the values that they hold. And let me just start with walking through the natural capital versus the social capital. The natural capital is the species, the places, the ecosystem services that moderate climate, that filter water, that make soil fertile for us to grow crops. It's the coal, it's the oil, it's the water, it's the minerals, the steel, the ore. That's natural capital. And we harvest that, we use that, and we build social capital. We build educated, healthy, creative, innovative people that solve problems. We build institutions and finances and banks, and we get rich and have money to spend on things, and we have educational systems, and we have engineers that can solve problems, and we have infrastructure that we can apply, and good governance. This is social capital. And you can see here that people differ widely on whether they think we should pass forward natural capital that people in the future can use, or social capital that they can use to solve problems with. And if you're strong on natural capital over in the left side of the table, then you really think that we ought to preserve those specific entities, the coal, the water, the ecosystem services, or what have you. And if you're strong on social capital, you're saying, no, we can, these things are fungible. And I'll define that term, these things are fungible. We can pass forward social capital and people be able to solve problems. That is, the natural capital are things that we can replace. They're things that we can invent alternatives for. They're things that we can create new ways of doing the same thing without having or with having less of the nature or the natural capital or the species that we've used in the past. Now, let me give you a specific example at a place where I live, my university. It used to be all forested. That forest caught the rainwater, filtered it, stored it. The water was clean, it was there, it was drinkable. And we replaced that with parking lots, with buildings and roofs and the infrastructure to educate people. And now the water is not drinkable. It's okay, but it's not something you want to drink. But what we drink instead is produced not too far away at a water filtration plant that takes the water out of a river, pumps it up through pipes, filters it, and then pumps it into campus. And that is made possible because the university created engineers, created people that made money and paid taxes, and we built the infrastructure and the governance that enabled us to have the water filtration plant. So the social capital of the engineering and the finance and the governance allowed us to replace the natural capital of the fresh, clean, abundant water that we could drink right out of the stream. right? So that's an example of fungibility, of the replacement of natural capital with social capital. And of course, it gets much more difficult as we think about other aspects of this. If you're really interested in just natural capital, there's two ways to think about that. That's what the third row is, the ecosystem services versus species. Natural capital can be those services, those functions, the functionality, the ability to moderate the climate and filter the water and fix the nitrogen and make the soil fertile, decompose our trash. Those are services, but you may not care what's doing that for you. It could be an exotic species, it could be a machine, it could be an invention, it could be a chemical. But if you care specifically what that is, the composition of the things that's doing the work, which species, right? The specific type of biodiversity, the specific place that's doing it has to be wild, pristine, and natural. That's a compositionalist perspective, and that puts you off on the far right. So you see, again, there's a wide variety of differences here. Now, what I'm trying to help you do, and there's much more detail in the text and the support material for this diagnostic, but remember, I want you to move up this ladder. Each rung helps you become more effective at managing differences and being able to synergize those differences so that you can create higher ground, create solutions, work across these differences that cause negotiation train wrecks. And if you listen to people talking, you get up there where you're able to hear them, you'll start to hear these values, the natural capital versus social capital, and the specific types of natural capital, the functions versus the composition. And that will help you then figure out where people are coming from, and you hopefully will have a language that you can participate in that discussion and explain where your values are to others. The next time when we come back here and just for the next episode, I'm going to talk about why sustain.